on making the General Assembly in Harrisburg a part-time institution? And also, where do you stand on making the state budgeting process a 2-year deal versus an annual affair as it currently is?
I'm very much in favor of making 2-year budgeting process. When I was with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry, I used to do a budget twice a year, actually a budget and a rebudget. And when it comes to reducing the size of the legislature, as some people have said, I wouldn't reduce the size because you would have fewer people to represent you there. What I would do would be to reduce the salary. Thank you.
Okay. As we continue on, Mr. Eisenhauer.
All of my professional experience exists in the private sector, and the private sector does not do 2-year budgeting because there's too many factors that can come into play. Revenue shortfalls, influences, external influences as a result of the economy, and I would not be in favor of implementing a 2-year budget process because while the state government is a very bureaucratic machine and it requires clarity from one year to another, you cannot take into account the fluctuations of the external marketplace on a 2-year budget cycle. So I would be opposed to making a 2-year budget. As far as making the legislature a part-time legislature, I would be willing to consider some options. I know that there are other states in the union that do so to great success. I believe Texas is a part-time legislature. And if we can do it affordably and the service delivery is not impaired or impacted when it comes to our constituents, I'd be willing to consider a part-time legislature.
Thank you. Representative Swanger.
I certainly would consider going to a 2-year budgeting process. Every budget can be amended if need be, and every budget takes up a great deal of our time in preparation. And I think if we could only spend that time every 2 years, it certainly would be to the constituents' advantage because we could spend more time actually doing their work. And I think a part-time legislature might work if you just limit the number of days in session to part-time instead of 3 days for 2 weeks out of every month. It's about 72 days of the year that we're actually in session. I think we could get our business done in much fewer days and say just for maybe 1 month during the year, because we introduce, would you believe, over 3,000 bills every session, every 2-year session, and we pass over 300 on the average. Do we need all these laws? I mean, it gets to the point of being ridiculous, I think. So I would be in favor of the part-time legislature and also exploring the 2-year budget process. But I think that we need to change the way we budget and go to a zero-based budgeting method. That means every department has to start from zero and justify every expenditure instead of coming into budget meetings, appropriations meetings, and starting from where their appropriation was the prior year and go forward. I think we need to look at every line item and justify the spending of every dollar that we allocate.
Representative Swanger, thank you very much.